So thanks everyone for tuning in, um, especially at this time of year. Even though it seems we are not supposed to be going anywhere, there's still that fever, that busyness of trying to get things done and winding down the year or ramping it up. It's all what it is. So good for you for just having a bit of space to do some self-care. And so having some items in your space that'll make you comfortable. I have a blanket or a towel, can be used for knees or keeping warm. Pillows, whatever's available. We use props to support poses, and we don't have all of the things that we usually have at the club. It's a restore class, and I feel that because we're doing so much sitting at home at desks, that it would be good to do some warming up. And thanks for that. And then in the second half of the class, we'll do more with the supports. But let's get started right now. And so we'll begin just lying down. If it's chilly in your space, you can put a blanket over top of yourself. Keep your socks on. The goal in this class is to do as little physical effort as possible, and the huge benefits of moving into some shapes, moving with breath, to all of the systems of the body, building up your immune resilience, your digestive, lots of that this year, the kidneys, the adrenals. So come to lying down. Enjoy your practice. It's a nice way to start with that intention and to help us get into the mode of being present before we actually come to stillness. We'll go through a progressive relaxation. So lying down, you don't need any props for this right now. It's better to have little, other than maybe something underneath your lower back. I've got that blanket, something small for the head if that feels better than just having your head right on the floor. And once we stretch out, we're just going to start to activate some of the muscle groups. So we're going to move our awareness to our right leg, and we're going to tighten all the muscles there. Float that leg a little bit off the floor and draw the toes towards the face. So hugging the muscles around the bone. You might feel this bit of tension coming into other parts of the body as well, but just really squeeze and draw the right toes towards the face. Take a breath in. And then on the exhale, let that leg just drop, floppy. You can shake it a little bit. Notice the sensations that are coming in that leg. And then press out through the left heel, draw the toes towards the face, tighten all the muscles on that side, hug the thigh, the shin, and maybe the leg gets a little bit light. And squeeze, 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 feel everything that's working there to engage the muscles in that leg. Breathe in, and then exhale, drop it. And same thing, just swish it a little bit. Feeling in right to left. And then make a fist with your right hand and squeeze that tightly. Hug the muscles of the forearm to the bone, the upper arm. Squeeze, squeeze, float the arm off the floor a couple of inches and feel the tension. Maybe there's some moving into the face or the chest as well. Just noticing in your body. Breathing in, and then exhale, drop that arm. Just give it a little shake. Left arm now, left hand, squeeze a fist, tighten the wrist, forearm, elbow, upper arm. Let that arm float off the floor. That's how much intentionality is going on here. Breathe in and exhale, let it go. Start to activate your glutes. Hug them to the center line, right around the tailbone there. Squeeze. You might feel your abdominal muscles also start to engage with that. The hips might lift just a little bit. Just give it everything that you've got here. Squeeze and hold. Breathe in. And then soften. Feel the flesh of the buttocks settling into the earth. Take a breath in there. And open the mouth and exhale some sound. Hug the shoulders to the ears now. Kiss the heads of the shoulders right to the tips of the earlobes and make yourself into a sort of Frankenstein shape. Feel what that's like physically as well as emotionally. Just hold that for a little bit longer because we're here often, whether we know it or not. Breathe in and exhale, coming out of that sitting at a desk pose. Let's take another breath in through the nose. And exhale, let it go through the mouth. The last thing here, let's take all of the muscles to the face and squeeze them into center. So squish your eyes tightly, bring your lips to your nose. Try to keep this in the face. I know other body parts want to come along. That's how stress is kind of contagious. Let's keep it in the face, making that prune-like expression. And then exhale, soften around the eyes, the jaw, the cheekbones, let the skin on the forehead soften away. Last deep breath in through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. And come into the awareness of your whole body, just resting. Notice the breath, just as it's happening here. Notice what else is here. As the body comes into stillness, there may be plenty of activity in the mind. The stories, history, thought loops and patterns. Thinking about things that are on the agenda for later. And the goal is not to try to push or wipe the slate clean in any way. In fact, the opposite, just to allow some space for these natural processes to be occurring with a little less reactivity. And so it can help to guide attention to breathing, sensations of breathing in the body here. A soft mental note in and out can be helpful. But in no way are we trying to grip or tightly hold onto the breath. We're just noticing when we find ourselves following some other distractions. And the practice is to very gently and kindly notice when that's occurring. And begin again, come back to breath. Or just the physical posture. Sensations in the body. And maybe sound or hearing is something that is a good anchor for you. And that can be equally useful, especially if the breath is something that causes some anxiety. And just let it be a drawing back towards hearing, the field of hearing, or sensations in the body. Let's take a big stretch out and lengthen and deepen. And press out through the fingers, point the toes. And then hug the thighs in. And give yourself a hug, a squeeze. Let the knees move away from center. So they're tracking more towards the armpits. And let the heels be heavy. It's up to you. Your head might be on a pillow. If you are comfortable there and it's not too cushy, then you can rock your head from side to side. Let's do that with a bit of mindful breathing. So exhaling over the right shoulder and inhale through center and exhaling over the left shoulder. So the knees are just hanging towards the armpits, heels are heavy. Inhale, center, and exhale, take the chin over towards the right. Inhaling center and exhaling to the left. If you want to feel a bit more of a massage across the occipital ridge in the base of the skull, then you can take any support away there. Move any ponytail holder and just rock the head a couple more times, left and right. Moving with your breath. Exhaling to one side and inhale through center. Good, and then allow the hands to come to the knees or inner thighs and stir some circles away with the knees and down towards the hips. So your arms will straighten out and then back to center and in towards the chest. Open as you breathe in and exhale into center. Open, inhale. And exhale, squeeze to center. And one more time in that direction, opening wide. And there's no right or wrong here. And switching directions, whichever way you started, just reverse that. Massaging in the lower back and doing some gentle opening of the hips. Let the knees come together now and the arms be rather long. So knees are above the hips. And start to make some tiny circles there. With the knees together, moving in one direction. Inhaling half the circle and exhaling the other half. So there's just a connection with the breathing if this helps to keep the mind a little less reactive. And then changing direction. And just seeing how that feels in your lower back and hips. And then hug the knees in towards the chest, just a straight knees in, maybe hips width apart, and then reach the knees away. Inhale, you can use your hands to help on the shins or the thighs. Exhale, squeeze in. So we're pumping those digestive organs. Reach the knees away. Making some space. Exhale. Inhale, your eyes can be open or closed. Exhale and keep the right knee in and stretch the left leg long now. And let the left leg land on the floor, just kind of loose and floppy, or that left knee could be bent with the foot on the floor. Hug the right thigh in towards the chest and circle the right ankle. Let's breathe in one direction with that circle. And then switch direction and exhale the other direction. And do that a couple times. Breathing in, change the direction. And exhaling, switch. Once more, inhale. And exhale.
You can bend the left leg if it's not now and press the right heel to the ceiling, reaching that heel up, and then exhale, hug that thigh in towards the chest. Let's reach it up on the inhale. Moving with the breath. Exhale, hug the thigh in. Like you're pressing the gas pedal. Inhale. Exhale, draw the thigh in. Dangle the left leg long again and open up your right arm just away from the shoulder in a T position. Take the right knee towards the left. Use the left hand to guide the right knee in that direction, just coming up a little bit with the right hip. Your right shoulder might lift a little bit. Let's come back through to center. Bring the knee over the hip and then exhale like we're wringing out a claw. Right knee travels to the left. Maybe look over to the right shoulder as well. Inhale, center, rock the knee and the head back to center. And then exhale, take the knee to the left and the gaze to the right. Inhale through center and one more time. Over to the left with the knee. Let's take an extra full breath cycle here and crawl the right fingers away. Inhale through center. Exhale, hug that thigh in again. And bend the left leg. And take the right leg up towards the ceiling. Inhale. Use your hands to open that upper thigh. So literally turning the thigh bone, the femur bone in the socket. So the toes will be turned out a little bit, cross the right ankle above the left knee. Just coming into a figure four, just feeling in, moving into some of these shapes as though you've never been here before, even if you're a experienced yogi. Feel some equanimity through the back of the pelvis as you move into this hip glute stretch and pull the drawstring a little bit at the waist. Letting the right foot be heavy on the floor. Or you might bring the left thigh in and thread the hands around that thigh, or if you have a band or the bathrobe belt, then that can help to make the arms a little longer. And draw that thigh in. Let's take one more inhale there. And exhale. Just lower the left leg, just dangle your right knee over the left knee like you're sitting in a chair and hug the thighs in again. Cradle around the thighs or tuck the chin in and come up and just grab the shins there. If you've got the shins with your hands, then see about coming back down. Your heels can be quite heavy towards your seat, wrapping your outer right hip long. Or you can reach the hands a little further down the shins if you have some space for that, and draw the heels away from each other and the toes towards the face. Try not to let the tailbone be too lifted, keeping the spine in a little more in the neutral position so the low back is nice and long. Let's take 3 breaths there. And you're resting your head on the floor, or maybe you brought in a pillow again. So the neck is long. The breath can massage the back of the throat. One more in. And out. Release the legs. Place the left foot back on the floor. Give the right leg a few shakes to just jiggle and loosen that off. Let your arms come down by your sides and press your palms just easily to the ground. Flex out through that heel again without grabbing for anything there. And point the toes, breathing in. So stretch the front of the ankle. And exhale. And point. And flex. One more time. Inhale, point. And exhale, flex. And then slowly start to lengthen the leg forward. Take your time. We're looking for some length in that whole front line. There's a little bit of core, the ribs drawing down. Lengthen that leg out so you feel, though you can even feel for your hips, feel that right iliopsoas, top of the hip, and then let the leg go right there. Let the left leg reach down as well and feel the right to left. Different sensations, maybe the temperature of the leg that was lifted is a little cooler, or one leg feels heavier. Let's have a big stretch out, breathing in, and then hug the thighs in towards the chest and exhale there. Before we move to the second side, let's just place the feet on the floor and bring the fingertips down towards the heels in that direction with the feet about hips width apart. Let the low back press towards the floor, and then let the hips drop forward so there's some breeze blowing underneath the low back. Exhale, press the low back, little pelvic rocking, and inhale, tip the hips forward, find that space. Exhale, and then inhale, rocking back and forth. Exhale, press the low back, and this time lift the hips up. Just coming to maybe 3/4 of what you feel might be your max. And then ripple that down. Let the hips rock forward as you breathe in. And exhale, drop the low back. Lift the hips, inhale. You might come up a little higher each time. And then exhale, roll down, just being mindful of your boundaries, allowing it to feel good as you roll the hips forward and press the low back and lift the hips. Reach the knees a little longer. Maybe you're peeling up the shoulder blades, keeping the back neck open as you exhale, lower. If my breath cues aren't yours, that's totally fine. Let's do one more time and hold the bridge at the top. Exhale there. Maybe add one more expansive breath in, puffing the chest towards the chin. And then roll it all the way back down. Let's take the left knee in towards the chest now. Give that a squeeze. And circle the ankle one way, breathing in. Your right foot can be on the floor with the right knee bent, or you can straighten the right leg out. It might be different on this side. Exhale, move the other direction. And just keep going, breathing one way with those circles, taking in the sounds of maybe some pops and cracks, tight winter boots. Let's hug that thigh in one more time for a deep squeeze into the descending colon. I like to have my right foot on the floor when stretching the left leg up towards the ceiling. And then either the hands around the thigh, or you can use a band so that you don't have to do a lot of work here, not straining the neck. Just press that heel up towards the ceiling. Let's point the toes, inhale, and then flex that heel up, exhale. Point and flex. One more time, point, and then flex. And then draw the thigh in again to exhale. We're going to open the left arm away from the shoulder. The right leg can just get a little bit floppier if it was bent. Use your right hand to guide the outer left thigh over to the right. Ground down through your left palm and use that in opposition to the right knee, moving away. Back to center, inhale, knee above the hip. And then exhale, the left hip lifts up a little bit, looking over the left shoulder. Inhale, the left hip touches down, the knee over that hip, and then exhale, we're wringing out the towel. Do a few more of those. Length along the spine, clearing digestive organs, as well as any of the emotional buildup here in the hip, in the lungs. It's all in the tissues, so it's just moving, breathing, moving some of the stale energy. Let's hug that thigh in again, exhale. Bend the right knee again and stretch that leg up towards the ceiling. Just give it a little bit of a shake. Loosen that off. And the hands can help to guide the left femur bone to rotate externally, so the The leg's not moving out at all, but the toes will be turning out. And then cross the left ankle above the right knee. Press the thighs away, create some space, pressing the right foot to the floor, a few centimeters extra length along the spine. And it can be really nice just to stay here. So we're kind of programmed to sort of hurry up and move on and get to our deepest place. And then we miss some of the benefits of the journey, or really being cognizant of where our edge is at different times. If it feels interesting to you to draw the right knee in towards the chest, and do that without feeling any pain in the left thigh, thread the needle with your left hand inside and your right hand outside that thigh, or the band, something to resist into, your hands or the strap to press your right thigh into at the same time as you're drawing that knee in for one more inhale. Exhale, let it go. Just dangle the left knee over the right knee now. So we're coming into that as if we're sitting in a chair. Draw the thighs in towards the chest and wrap the hands around the thighs. You might tuck the chin in and just come up for a moment to take a peek at your legs. If it's easy to reach further down the shins and still come back down, you can grab the shins or the tops of the knees. The heels can stay heavy to the seat. It's a pretty deep hip stretch. Or you can use your hands to move the feet a little further apart from each other, and the toes are moving in the direction of the face. All of that done with the tailbone lengthening towards the bottom end of your mat. Take 2 more breath cycles there. It's really nothing to do, nowhere to go. Just let the breath flush a few things out. And then release. Left leg stretches up, right foot on the floor, another little shake. And then activate that leg again. Bring the hands down beside the hips. Press the palms so there's a bit more support from your core. Belly draws back, and then slowly start to lower that leg. Lower. And as you go with some control, feel that front hip flexor really go so as hover that leg at the bottom and release. Let the right leg lengthen. Take a big stretch out again. Feeling into left and right. And then whatever you feel like here, it could be another squeeze, or you might take your feet wide and just do a easy windshield wiper of the legs before we come up. And shift over to one side, hug your knees. So make this mindful, coming into the rescue pose. Maybe come back to some intention for why you're here this morning, or whatever it is that you're tuning in. Just keeping it simple, moving together with the community, creating some space and well-being for yourself that will also impact others. And from there, press up. Let's just take
Hi.
a couple of moments.
Hi. So sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
I don't know if others are there, but I will need to run. My daughter's little asking for help, so I
No
didn't.
problem, Riva. Thanks for coming. I'm just going to
Thank you
continue
so
on
much.
for.
It's just so nice for me. Thank you very much.
So glad that
Take
you
good
were here.
Stay well.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye. So we'll continue on, and we're going to be sitting. So boost yourself up, or you can use a chair, a couple of pillows, and we'll do a bit in the neck and shoulders. So don't feel that you need to sit on the ground. If it doesn't work for your hips, just come onto the edge of your bed or whatever chair happens to be close to grab, and take the right ear over to the right shoulder. And drop the gaze over the right shoulder. You can stretch the left fingers away and press the left palm towards the earth, the fingers towards the sky. You just take a couple of breaths there to open up the whole left side of the neck. You might do a little massage in there with your fingers, kind of dig into any tension there. Left fingertips can rest on the floor. You just experiment with all of this. Rocking the chin slightly up and down, over to one side and then the other. And back to left ear, or sorry, right ear, right shoulder. And drop the chin towards the chest and bring the left arm forward and draw it across with the right arm. Let's look out over the left shoulder now for 3. Coming back to some breath and awareness of the back body that gets often left behind. And then give yourself a hug and squeeze the shoulders, breathing in. And keep your hands along the sides of the ribs or the tops of the shoulders, or take it into an eagle shape where the backs of the forearms come towards each other. And the hands may or may not touch and bind. If they do, you can just use that for a little extra oomph and lift the elbows and then tuck the chin towards the chest and exhale. Take 3 breaths now into the upper back and let your spine drape forward. That's 1, 2, and 3. Let's lift up and swim out the arms a few times, coming into wide elbows and a cactus and going out into some cobweb, clearing or opening the curtains, swimming it out. Let's take the hands and bring them to the back of the skull. Take the elbows wide. And then stay tall in your spine. Squeeze the elbows towards each other and take the chin towards the chest. So just the back of the neck. You can hammock the back of your neck. Apply a little bit of just the weight of gravity of the arms there. And start to draw the gaze forward. Lift the elbows up. And then bring the fingertips behind the back. And just stretch the fingertips back. You don't have to touch the ground. You don't have to grab the hands. Just spread across the collarbones. And have the fingertips facing down for this side. For 3, 2, and 1. If you're sitting in a chair, just fold over the legs. If you're sitting on the ground, walk the hands forward. And send your sits bones back and down. And press the floor away. See how that feels. And then pull the floor towards yourself. You can do a little cat and cow as you're here on your palms or your fingertips, or just if you're sitting in a chair, with your hands on your thighs. Same thing, a little extension and then flexion. Inhale. And exhale. And grow the spine up. If you're sitting cross-legged, switch the cross of the legs so it feels different. Your less usual side. And take the left ear to the left shoulder and stretch the right palm away. Take a couple breaths, just feeling into that. Fingers towards the ceiling. And looking out over the left shoulder. And maybe taking the left hand and massaging into the chest, collarbone area, or along the side of the neck, shoulder. You just relax the right arm down now. Move the head a little, looking down or to the side. See what the range of movement is here. Line the left ear up again with the left shoulder, and then chin to chest. Roll it through. Bring the right arm forward. Inhale and exhale. Wave it across. And just hook it in and look out over the right shoulder. Filling in the back body, bringing the awareness there again, just noticing everything is changing. The breath in and out. There's always another breath, at least while we're conscious. And come back through center. Give yourself a hug. Stay here. Or take the eagle shape on this side, moving the hands a little closer together, or you can come to bind, backs of the hands touching, or the palms. If the palms are pressing together, then the thumbs are just facing towards the center of the forehead, lifting the elbows, and then exhale into a cat curve. So forearms moving towards parallel with the floor, the elbows just looking down. And then come all the way up, inhale and swim it out again. Just a few movements, some circles in the shoulders. And open and close the fingers as well, into the hands. And bring the hands behind the back of the skull, move the elbows away, picking up that occipital ridge. Hug the elbows here, chin towards the chest, exhale. Just the upper back though, the pelvis is an anchor, the low back is still nice and long and wide. Start to look forward, the elbows are lifting up a little bit, coming out of that rounded shape. And then release the arms, reach them back, and this time flip the palms towards the ceiling. See if you can just initiate bringing the thumbs a little closer together without trying to clasp the hands back there. And press the palms a little higher while the shoulders drop down for one more inhale. And exhale, let's take the hands forward, fingertips. We'll start with a rounded spine, traction the head forward. The hands might be on your thighs if you're sitting. And then pull the chest forward, draw the hands back. Exhale, peel the belly back. And inhale, draw forward. Last one, exhale. Walk the hands back up. Lean back and give your legs a shake out. Shake, shake, shake. And we'll come onto the hands and knees. And give yourself some padding underneath the knees if the floor is hard. And come to the fists and make yourself into a bit of a dome in the back. Just let the head go. Open and close the jaw a few times, move it around. And then shifting through into a puppy shape with the tailbone lifting, or a cow, and then exhale, move it into cat. Bigger movements, inhaling and exhaling. Let's do one more, just getting back to some breath to quiet the mind, the mental activity that's present but less able to pull us in. And then start to do some barrel rolling. So the rib cage rolling around, or a ball inside the rib cage. The visual that helps with that, or cleaning the peanut butter out of the jar. And then take it the other way. Hips, shoulders, ribs. Let's walk the hands all the way over to the left now. And sit a little back towards the right. Don't come all the way. And then inhale, shifting through center and over to the left, and exhale, sitting back towards the heels. Once more, breathing in. And exhale, breathing out. And walk back through center and up and over towards the right. Left fingers reaching a little extra as you sit back on a diagonal, just a little bit. And move on that diagonal. Come forward on the right. And then exhale, dropping back towards the left heel. Any amount. Inhale. And exhale. You might still have your hips up fairly high, or you can sit all the way back towards your heels for another 2 breath cycles. 1. And 2.
Take it back through center. Let's curl the toes under and stretch out the tops of the feet. So walk your hands back. Feel the arches, the toes. You can keep the hands on the floor or take it to a higher height just to get the sensation that you need to feel some stretch in the toes. Let's take 3 breaths here, maybe reconnect with where you're feeling breath happening. The chest or the belly or the tip of the nose. Just one more inhale. And exhale. So practicing how we can bring ourselves back to the breath to ease when there's some stress in other areas. Bring the tops of the feet now to the floor and drum them out. So we can either sit back towards the heels in a child's pose to stretch the tops of the ankles, or come all the way up again, and it depends on what the structure of your ankles and what you've been wearing and doing there. So if it's really intense, then just keep the weight forward. Good, and then lift back to your tabletop. And let's just take a seat. We'll bring it right onto the belly. Stretch out a little bit the hip flexors first. So bring your forehead down. Have it rest palm on palm. Elbows are wide. Give your hips a little shake. Start to take your legs apart. And let the toes turn out. So have the heels in as best you can to adjust that. It's a different feeling of opening up the hips in this way. Let's take a few breaths there. Along the spine, into the front of the hips, softening. Good, and then walk the legs closer together. They don't have to be glued together or anything like that, just floppy. And start to come up on the elbows. And take a Sphinx pose. And press the palms to the floor. So if it's comfortable for you to have the hands, wrists, and elbows in line with each other, or hands can be clasped together, that's nice as well. Elbows underneath the shoulders, or walking the elbows a little further forward is going to bring the little more of the ribs down. Even further forward, if you prefer, if you're feeling anything in the lower back, come further forward and perhaps take your face in your hands. And so we're going to slow things down and move into longer held poses for 1 minute to 2 minutes each, where we really get to tap in to all of those systems, the nervous system, the endocrine system, digestive, and although these are supported and more gentle shapes, they can hold intensity, especially as we spend a longer time. So if you need to adjust from one of the shapes to allow yourself to be relaxed and to have a even keel with the breath, then please do that.
including having the elbows wide and the forehead down, supported on the backs of the hands or on fists. And still a variation of this heart opening posture. And here's where the greatest challenge of this type of practice is to do with the mind and the mental activity. And so you can come back to choosing an anchor, sensations of breathing, or the field of hearing, sounds in the space. Especially if there's a lot of emotional pull, draw outside of yourself. Lots of compassion, friendliness to starting over. Taking 3 more breaths in this shape. The practice is in noticing the distractions. And just beginning again, breathing in, breathing out. Walking the hands back to your low ribs to press up. And let's take it try with the knees right together for a child's pose. You can prop your forehead fist on fist. If you do have blocks or anything in your space, you could also tuck a cushion underneath your tummy or on top of your heels. Just to let your spine drape forward and feel some wideness across the kidney band. If it's too much to be bringing that weight back towards the heels, then by all means, lift it up and take it into an extended shape where the hips are over top of the knees. Arms reaching forward, or just with the bent elbows and resting the forehead, palm on palm. Allowing the breath to move through the belly, through the low back. And lots of space for the thoughts to come and go, or the emotional tone. Increasing our ability just to be aware of what's here and allow some wisdom to know that the mind can hold it all. And lots of space for the dark and the light. Shifting back through table. And we'll sit back towards the heels. Take the legs forward. Bring the soles of the feet together. We'll have a long diamond shape. Using any props that might ease the lower back, so you can sit up on a cushion. You could have extra cushions to prop up underneath the thighs.
This is a nice variation to the child pose. Bringing the fingertips behind the back for some support to sit here. Or walking the hands forward and let the weight, the natural trajectory of the spine, the crown of the head to draw towards the feet. And the tailbone towards the earth. Just creating that nice arc, not overdoing. In your own space, you can play with props, pillows in front or behind to rest and support the head. You can place the thumbs between the eyebrows if that's available. Lighting up that area of the brain where wisdom exists, develops, strengthens, so we can be a little more skillful around our actions rather than reactions. Take about another minute here. Aware of the beginnings and endings of breath cycles. Of those thought loops. Many, many times starting over. Returning to your anchor. Let's take 3 more deep breaths here. It's 1, 2, and 3. Drawing yourself back up. It's okay if you have something underneath your seat, just lean back. Bring the feet wide and the knees to touch for a moment. Turn the thigh bones inward and then drop the knees over to one side. Lifting, one of the hips will be lifting up and then back through center and take it over to the other side. And back through center. Inhale and exhale over. And then come back through center. Actually, before we come over here, if you do have a few pillows, I'm going to have them behind you on the mat. So they're going to line up like a bolster. For me, having 3 pillows works best, with the 2 towards the end and then 1 where the back will be. So see what you might have there. And if you don't have anything available, then I'll show you an alternative. Let's try this. So sitting back towards the first pillow and then dropping the knees over. Let's do all to the left and bringing your right knee right up against the sole of the left foot, shifting your left hip close to that pillow. If you've done this with me at the club, then usually we have a bolster here, maybe with a couple blocks supporting. I'm going to walk the hands around on either side of those pillows and tuck the left bum cheek under. And then just come to lie down. It's a little more of a wrap around of the right side of the rib cage. You just turn to look towards your knees or in that same direction, just so that you get into the shape. You're welcome once you're in the shape. Your knees could be closer together, so you're basically side lying, or a little further apart if you want a little more in the hips. And you could also experiment with turning your head away from your knees and see how that feels in your neck. And so no benefits to feeling any pain or unsafe. It can feel really good, easy, just like you're lying in your bed with your favorite pillow. And the idea here is that the right side of the rib cage is getting a little more breath, and the lungs are naturally stretching, the tissues, the elasticity, the collagen. Let's take 3 more breaths on this side. It's 1, 2, and 3. Pressing into the hands to come up and travel around to face the front. And then should be able to just flip over the other way. So you can have your knees right together. You can have your left knee up against the sole of your right foot. You're sitting right up against that bottom cushion and then wrapping the ribs around to face the back. If you don't have cushions, you can just stay in this more upright position, looking out over your right shoulder. If you have the cushions, then you come to lie down with your chest towards the pillow, get really long. Start by turning your head to look in the same direction as the knees. You can adjust the distance of the knees from each other. Rest, relax the shoulders, the forearms, adjust there where they feel best on the ground. You can also try looking away from your knees. If you prefer just the more traditional twist that we do on our backs without the pillows, or with just one pillow between the knees, then it can be pillow between the knees, chest to the ceiling, and arms open. All variations of this beautiful pose. Just offering to those organs that work so hard to process what you take in physically in your meals, as well as in your emotional awareness, all of the goings on there. Let's take 3 more breaths. It's 1, 2, 3. Start to come back to center. If you're on the pillows, press your hands down, lengthen the spine to the back of your space, and then come all the way around. And we're just getting close to time, so those same pillows, if you have, and they're still behind you, that can be a really nice way to take final rest, is just to lay down in this Muskoka chair, natural heart opening shape with your feet wide and your knees together. Or just back to where we started on the back with the knees bent or the legs long. Nestling yourself into the shape. And coming to complete being. Softening the jaw, the eyes, space between the eyebrows, the back of the throat, soles of the feet, the toes, space between the toes, moving the awareness to the fingers, palms, backs of the hands, releasing any holding or gripping in the belly, ribs, resting awareness at the center of the chest. And just taking a few breaths in and out through the center of the chest. Inhaling, receiving compassion, friendliness. And exhaling, extending that outwards. Inhaling to receive. And exhaling to send that out. In, out. Extending the merits of your practice to other beings in your bubble. And receiving their well wishes back. Extending the merits of your practice to all beings everywhere. And receiving those well wishes back and into yourself. And continue to rest if you have the inclination today, or if you're moving on with your day. Take a little bit of time to stretch out before you come back to your agenda. Thank you so much for your practice. And hope to see you again soon. Namaste.